Hello, my friend. This is Clyde. Do the time and reap the reward. I recently read a newspaper article about a young high school soccer player. What's wrong? You don't know what a newspaper is? Check it out, my friend. It might not be as current as your internet source of news, but it has a place as a viable source of news. Anyway, this young man had just been a key player on his high school soccer team, which had won the grand championship title. He shared that leading up to the competition this year, he spent hours and hours in training. This young man recognized his talent, and outside of regular training hours with the rest of the team, he would engage in his own training schedule all by himself to sharpen his skills and to lift the quality of his performance to a much higher level. It paid off handsomely. Not only did his school's soccer team come out on top, but he became a star in the competition. He dedicated the time, and in the end, the coach, the team, and the fans attributed much of the success of the team to this teen star player. Today, I want to talk specifically to fellow believers, but let me warn you that by no means will this be a nice and fuzzy talk. I'm talking to my fellow brothers and sisters about spending valuable time with God, time in deep, earth-shaking prayer, just the two of you together. This is what I'm getting at. There are things that are on your plate. There are goals and ambitions that you have. There are issues that you would like to work out for you in a big way. I am saying to you, not beating around the bush, that you and I and the next Christian you know, we need to put in the time. The book of Mark is the shortest of the four Gospels. I have no background information about the book or its writer. I'm just simply saying that although this book is shorter than the others in the same category, it packs a powerful narrative. In Mark 1, verses 35 through 39, we see the first instance that Mark reports on of Jesus and the business of prayer. Very early in the morning, while it was still dark, Jesus got up, left the house, and went off to a solitary place where he prayed. I don't know about you, but sleep is precious, and especially when you go to bed late the night before, you really want to make the most of those morning hours of sleep. Don't you just feel annoyed sometimes when you wake up and have to go to the bathroom? You race back to bed and try to catch the sleep, sometimes bumping into furniture, but determined to catch up with the sleep. So the last thing on your sleepy mind is to go and pray. You read that piece of scripture about Jesus and you think, good for him. Don't expect me to do that. I want you to read the rest of the account because there is something important that you must see. We don't know how long he prayed for, but we know that it was early morning while it was still dark, maybe around 3 or maybe 4 o'clock in the morning. Later, when the disciples woke up and checked Jesus' room, he was not there. And so they went looking for him. And when they found him, they said, everyone is looking for you. I suspect by then the sun was up. But let Mark tell you what Jesus said. Let us go somewhere else to the nearby village so I can preach. That is why I have come. So he traveled throughout Galilee, preaching in their synagogues and driving out demons. There is a second instance of Jesus praying in the nighttime hours. This time, it was the night after the feeding of the 5,000. Immediately, Jesus made his disciples get into the boat and go on ahead of him to Bethsaida while he dismissed the crowd. After leaving them, he went up on a mountainside to pray. Mark 6:45-46. Later that night, Jesus joined the disciples who were struggling the boat because it was extremely windy on the Sea of Galilee. Sometime before dawn, here comes Jesus walking on the water, my friend. Literally walking on the stormy water. Who does that? The third instance was right after the transfiguration experience with him and James and Peter and John up in the mountain. Mark 9 verses 2 through 13. Nothing was said about them praying, at least not in that portion of the narrative. They came down from the mountain during daytime hours, and Jesus did what the rest of the 9 disciples could not do. He drove out a demon from a young boy. But here is what I want you to hear. After Jesus had gone indoors, his disciples asked him privately, "Why couldn't we drive it out?" He replied, "This kind can come out only by prayer." Mark 9:28-29. Remember the story of the high school soccer player who led his team to winning the championship? You are that kid, well, at least the year before. Yes, he was good then, but he soon realized that he wanted to be better, much better. Friend of mine, God has been blessing, but there is so much more to be had. You and I need to make the sacrifice and wake up some mornings and spend time in prayer. Notice that in the 3 accounts, something amazing happened right after. 1, Jesus went about preaching all over and cast out demons. 2, Jesus emerged from praying alone and was able to walk on waters of the stormy sea. 3, Jesus drove out a demon when the disciples could not. His secret? Spending time in prayer. You have some things on your plate: your health, your finances, your job, your struggling ministry, your marriage. Your family is going through some tough times. Your community is racked with crime and violence. You are noticing an increase in suicide. You want to get married real badly. Whatever it is, consider this, my friend. Sometime before the end of this year, plan to get out of bed around 3 o'clock and go spend an hour in prayer all by yourself. I am serious. Do the time if you want to reap the rewards. Sacrifice some sleep time and go spend that time with Jesus in prayer. Your sacrifice is bound to pay off. Please don't just agree with me. I want you to schedule this assignment for one morning before this year ends. God will honor your sacrifice and he will reward you handsomely.